Hey, this is Shawn Hook. You're watching What She Said on YouTube.
Welcome back to What She Said on SiriusXM Canada Talks 167. I'm here with recording artist Shawn Hook, who is in town. Shawn, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
So, first of all, congratulations on the release of Analog Love. It's your second album with Universal Music. How is it different from the first one? How do you feel like you've grown as an artist?
Yeah, I think I've just grown in general in all aspects, I guess. For songwriting, I've had a chance to collaborate with some great writers throughout the years and work with some great producers as well. And in each session, I'm learning something else, and I feel like I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But I guess, yeah, I think this is just a natural progression for me. And I feel like I was a little more self-assured with the songs and the writing and everything on this new one. So.
And tell me about the recording process, because this took 2 years.
Yeah, I guess the 2 years was more the making of, in terms of from the first day I started writing for this record to the release day. So right. If you kind of break that down, I'd go down to Los Angeles for a couple of weeks and I'd take writing sessions with different writers and producers. Same thing with Toronto. I'd come here for a couple of weeks and, I compiled a bunch of songs. I guess there's probably like 50 songs that were written for this record. Yeah. And then we kind of pared it down and then started production. And for a while we were kind of looking for a producer to bring these songs to life that I had written and compiled, we found the producer that produced the bulk of it was actually based here in Toronto.
And this album, A Million Ways, a huge song,
yeah.
Around the world. But you said that song almost didn't happen. Tell me the story behind this, because this is pretty funny.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I was in Los Angeles. It was probably the first writing trip I took for this record, and I had sessions lined up, but I hadn't submitted anything to my label yet. And I kind of felt some pressure because I had just came over from EMI into Universal.
Okay.
And so I was meeting a lot of new people at Universal, and
right.
I wanted to make a good impression. And so I was in LA, and I took the session with a writer named Jeff Trott, writer-producer. He's written and produced Sheryl Crow's first 3 records and still continues to co-write with her and produce. So I was in Hollywood. I drove out of his place for the session. It was supposed to start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he was going to bring in another writer. She was from the UK, and she couldn't make it, so she ended up canceling. I get there, I'm like, Jeff, he's like, man, I gotta leave at 5. We can wait for her, but I gotta go pick up my kid from soccer. And I was like, oh man. So the session was gonna cancel. So I asked Jeff if he can connect me with Lady V, the writer from the UK.
Right.
So I called her, I was like, hey, are you free? And she's like, I can get together for about 4 hours. Do we have a studio? And I'm like, let me get back to you on that. So I called another friend. I was like, hey, do you have an open studio tonight? Because I want to get the session in before I fly back to Canada tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he's like, listen, man, I'm in a session, but you can use my room upstairs. And I was like, perfect.
Done.
Done, exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll do whatever I can to get this done tonight. So I called her back. She's like, yeah, we got a studio. We got a session lined up. Let's go. And my friend's studio, he actually had the skeleton of A Million Ways. He had a piano and beat put together. And we kind of started writing from that. And Lady V and I wrote the lyrics and the melody together. And I recorded the vocals that night. And those vocals are the ones that are on the finished record.
And I love the video for it. I think it's so funny. Everybody's making out. Everybody's loving each other. What was the concept and idea behind that?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to have fun with it.
Right.
So we wanted to, when Alon showed me the treatment, I was like, this is hilarious. It's kind of like an Axe body spray ad.
Yeah, exactly.
I went with it. We committed to the idea, and I think it came off well. And it's funny because we shot that, we shot that in 2 days. But it was just, everything was just so fast. So you have no time to really like edit or anything. It's like go. Once you commit, you commit. So no, I'm happy with that one.
Yeah, and tell me about the kind of sound and vibe on this album. How would you describe it? It's electronic, but kind of not, kind of a little bit of rock. How would you describe it?
Yeah, I think
it's interesting.
Yeah,
it's an interesting sound.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess my influences filtered through me and what I do. I mean, I think you kind of nailed it there with the electronic influences for sure. But
Right.
I grew up playing piano, and it's
Yeah.
kind of lends itself to more of a melodic nature. And I feel like the songs are pretty melodic. And I also, it was a big part of it is the producer I collaborated with, Mike Wise here in Toronto. He's a great musician, a great talent, and some of his influences came in for sure on the musical side of it. Yeah. It's a little bit of everything. It's
Right.
hard to put a finger on it.
Yeah, and there's so much electronic dance music out
Yeah.
there right now. How do you, when recording, how do you kind of set yourself apart and try to make your music a little unique so it doesn't sound like everything else that's on the radio?
I think because I take a traditional stance to the songwriting process. Like
Yeah.
I like to break it down to just the song and either guitar and song and then the piano, like the vocal, piano, vocal, guitar, because there's nothing to distract it at that level.
Yeah.
And if it sounds good like that, chances are it's going to sound amazing once you start adding other production to it.
Yeah. And so, sorry.
No, I was going to say otherwise songs can get buried in production.
Yeah, it's true. And tell me about the process when you're recording. Do you write first? Do you write to a beat? How does that work for you?
It depends. I mean, it depends on like I said with Million Ways, we kind of already had a little beat going and actually a chord structure. So Lady V and I wrote to that. With Sound of Your Heart, my new single, we started that organic. I went down to the piano, like an acoustic piano, and the other writers play guitar. So we were just kind of messing around with chords, and then we started with melodies and kind of built it organically, I guess the Nashville way. Yeah. But every song is a different thing. Like I get sent songs from different DJs and producers that are already like dance songs that are done, full production.
Right.
They just need a vocal on top, and I'll go in and record that.
And how do you filter through those? Because you said you had about 50 songs. I mean, is it hard for you to let some songs go and kind of choose, narrowed it down to about 10 songs for the album?
Yeah, it's tough, and I kind of rely on my manager. Like he's a pretty good gauge. He's a good soundboard, and so there's certain songs I'll fight for. And others, I'll just be like, okay, I trust if you don't think this is where, it's not as good as this one, then I trust you. And it's true. I mean, the litmus test is time. Because over time, I'll look back and be like, man, that song I really liked. I was like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Because, when you're in a session, you get a bit of like, the latest is the greatest. And I believe as an artist, when I write a song, I want it to be my best song ever. So there's a little bit of that too that I compete with. But I rely on people that I trust around me too to kind of help with those decisions.
Nice. And you have to keep, a tight circle and people that will really give you the honest truth and not just tell you that everything's ahead, right?
Yes, exactly.
And tell me, you've been in the industry for a little bit. You've been out there working. How have you seen it change? Because the industry really has changed really quickly in the last 2-3 years. How have you seen that change with technology and everything?
It's interesting. I mean, it's funny that a lot of the labels now to me it's funny, but I guess it makes sense. It's become safe in a sense that they're looking at people that have huge followings on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Vine. Certain stars get discovered through Vine now. Like Shawn Mendes was like one of those artists. And it's interesting because for an artist like myself, I think I'm more traditional where I think social media is super important, but I'm not relying on it to break my career.
Right.
I'm kind of focusing mostly on the songs and the writing and the production. Because honestly, like some of these social media stars, I don't know how they have time to focus on the craft of songwriting and being a true artist in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's certain labels now are kind of, I think, adjusting. I think certain ones they put a lot of stock in the social media, and certain ones are as they maintain the traditional sense of it. And I feel like I align more with that. But there's lots of room out there for all types of artists now.
Yeah. And, going back to Shawn Mendes, it's crazy how a year ago, he was making videos in his room. Yeah. And now, a world tour.
Yeah.
Do you think it's crazy how fast people can get famous now?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be nervous. I mean, I think it's amazing and props to him for that. But it's like, it's just knowing how fast the industry moves and I just hope he seems like he's talented. It seems like he's got the actual goods, like he can play guitar and but I hope that he can maintain that.
Cool. And tell me a little bit about what you have going on this summer. Any shows coming up?
Right now I'm actually talking to I got signed by Republic Records in the
Nice.
U.S. Yeah, so
Congrats.
I'm going down to. Thank you. I'm going.
big.
Yeah, it's a big. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm going down to New York on Tuesday to meet the team for the first time.
Cool.
And discuss kind of the promo plans for releasing in the United States. So that's my priority right now. I don't have any tours lined up. My next show is actually on Canada Day, July 1st. Obviously. I don't know when this is going to air. So
no worries.
Yeah, so that's the next show.
Cool. Wrapping up here, tell me Analog Love. Describe it in a sentence for me. The album, if you can.
I'm the worst. I'm the worst at editing myself. I talk and talk. I got it from my mom. Jeez. It's a it's gonna sound so cheesy when I try to sum it up, but it's just a summation of my thoughts and influences. It's a lot of fun. This is the most horrible explanation I can give for my record. Oh my god!
You're like, we're trying to sell it here.
I mean, yeah. I guess the best way to sell it is to actually go listen to it.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, good answer.
Yeah.
Cool. So the album's out in stores right now, and like you said, you have a show coming up at Canada Day in Richmond Hill.
Yeah.
Shawn Hook, thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for joining us.
That was a lot of fun
this summer. Yeah, that was great.
Appreciate it.
Click the channel subscribe button for full-length interviews and more from What She Said here on YouTube.